the exorcism ritual ended. Whispers began to rise. Li Huowang stood quietly to the side, carefully observing the woman sitting on the ground. It seemed her spirit had been greatly damaged, her lifeless eyes filled with fear, her entire body trembling uncontrollably. After looking around for a while, Huowang still couldn't figure out what exactly the second god that Li Ji mentioned had taken from her. He pondered deeply. Physically, this woman doesn't seem to be lacking anything, so what kind of payment does the immortal want? Could it be something on a spiritual level? At this moment, Li Ji walked over and spoke to the girl's family. Your daughter-in-law was just afflicted by a Sha spirit, so her body's weak, plus, the feng shui in your house is terrible. I'm worried you'll have more trouble headed your way. Hearing that, Huowang immediately turned his attention to Li Ji. The thin man was now so frightened that his face was pale as death. He didn't dare refuse Li Ji's suggestion and stammered, Then, Master Li the medium, what do you think we should do? Li Ji reached into his robe and rummaged for a while. He pulled out a small clay figurine and continued, How about this? Why don't you invite in a guardian immortal? The thin man's face showed clear fear, sweat dripping down as he stared at the guardian immortal without saying a word. Li Ji held the figurine in his hand, muttering incantations under his breath, and when he finished, he jumped up to place it onto a beam on the ceiling. Then he turned back to the man and said, Alrighty, we'll put it right here, now you can rest easy, this'll definitely protect your whole family and keep you safe. Li Huowang thought to himself, This is the guardian immortal. He quickly looked up at the ceiling to observe the guardian immortal, and a chill ran through him. It was a small clay figurine with a wide frame, seemingly molded at random, yet its eyes were strangely lifelike. Staring into those eyes, Huowang felt as if he were looking into something truly alive. At that moment, he suddenly saw the guardian immortal move slightly. Don't look, a faint, delicate voice sounded, and a figure with a bright red veil softly stepped forward from behind. A thought flashed through Huowang's mind. Spirit vessel, he spoke up. Did you have something you wanted to tell me? Hearing him, the second god slowly raised her hands, pale and slender with long nails, gently gripping the edge of the red veil as she began to lift it, about to speak. Just then, Li Ji suddenly appeared behind her, his cold voice cutting through. Goose, let's go. The second god lowered the veil again and turned to leave. Li Ji turned to the homeowner and said, 51 for the consultation, and another 51 for the guardian immortal. After taking the money, he let out a sigh and added, Busting my ass all day for just this much. Me and Goose are gonna find a villager to borrow a bed from. You do whatever, Daoist master, we're outta here. Huowang didn't reply, simply watching the silhouettes of Li Ji and the spirit vessel as they left, deep in thought. In the stillness of midnight, Li Huowang sat atop the roof, reflecting on what had just happened. Just now, she clearly stopped talking to me because of Li Ji. So, is she avoiding Li Ji? But aren't those two in the same group? Could it be? Just as he was thinking that, a weak voice echoed from inside the room. Li. Senior brother. Hearing Ling Niu's voice, he immediately responded, I'm here, then jumped down and quickly approached her bedside. At that moment, Ling Niu's whole body was limp, her eyes dazed, her face flushed from fever, her voice weak as she said, Senior brother Li. I'm not going to die, am I? Li Huowang sat down beside her and reassured her, Of course not, it's just a small wind cold, you took the medicine I refined, just get some good sleep and you'll be fine. Ling Niu was so weak she could barely move, yet she still clutched tightly at the hem of Li Huowang's robe. She looked at him and whispered with broken breaths, Senior brother Li. I don't want to die, I want to with you. Hearing that, Huowang froze for a moment. He lowered his head and said softly, You won't die. No one is going to die. The next morning, everyone gathered in a large courtyard. Ling Niu lay on a wooden cart. Huowang stood nearby carefully watching over her condition. Li Ji, holding a bowl of noodles, spoke while eating, Adept, I hear your sister's sick, need a hand with that? He refused bluntly, No need, she's already taken a pill, Hearing that, Li Ji continued, "Heh, that's not good enough, adept. I've seen some real masters draw a yellow talisman, burn it to ash, mix it with water, and drink it down, cures any illness, just like that. Look how long it's been, and your sister's still not getting any better. If you asked me, this calls for a true spirit medium. The old immortal of the Bai clan is unmatched when it comes to healing. If my wife and I handle it, I guarantee we'll solve your problem." Li Huowang saw this as an opportunity to learn more about the second god, so he smiled faintly and said with a hidden meaning, "To heal the sick and save the dying. I need to know who it is I'm supposed to be healing, wouldn't I?" Li Ji quickly replied, "Adept, what in the world are you implying?" "I..." Before he could finish, Huowang cut in, "Fine, I'll be direct. Your wife, is she really just an ordinary spirit vessel?" The smile on Li Ji's face froze. He lowered his head, his tone turning cold. Now you're just being difficult, adept, you follow the path yourself, would you tell me your secrets? It's not as if I've ever asked you where you rounded up this wretched lot." Li Ji stepped closer, placed his hand on Huowang's shoulder, and smirked as he said, "Look here, adept, we just want to do you a good turn, help with a proper ritual, so how about we agree not to ask certain questions?" Huowang brushed his hand aside and declined, "Brother Li Ji, I appreciate the sentiment, it's nothing more than a common cold, there's no need to summon a great immortal. I'm afraid we can't afford the price they're asking." Li Ji fell silent, staring at Huowang with clear hostility. Then he set the bowl down, turned away, and said as he walked off, "You're right, one shouldn't summon an old immortal for just any little thing. My apologies for the intrusion, wife, let's go." Guwa came over to clean up the bowl, muttering as he glanced at Li Ji's departing figure, "What was that all about? Freeloaded a bowl of noodles off us and didn't even wash up." Before leaving, Huowang gave instructions, "Go Wa, the preparations I spoke of this morning, you'll begin them tonight." Guwa replied, "Oh right, you got it, Senior Brother Li." "But Senior Brother Li, do you have some kind of history with that spirit medium?" "No, just taking precautions." At the third watch that night, a red mist surrounded the wooden cabin. It swirled a few times, spotted Huowang sitting by the window, then suddenly rushed toward him. Inside the red mist, a hand with sharp claws extended straight into the room. Huowang recognized that hand, the hand of the spirit vessel, and said softly, "Stop, the woods at the edge of the village, I'm heading there now." Hearing him, it paused, then quickly withdrew. "So, you've finally come, I hope tonight's preparations are useful." Then, guided by the dim moonlight, Li Huowang arrived at the meeting place and called out, "Miss Second God, I've come to keep our appointment." He was slightly surprised to see the second god standing alone beside a withered tree. Huowang looked around and thought to himself, "Li Ji isn't here." Li Huowang walked forward and asked, "Second god, is there something you want to tell me?" Second god used her claw to scratch a line across her own hand. The red syrup flowing from her just dripped onto the ground. Seeing the scene before him, Huowang was slightly stunned. The red syrup from second kept spreading across the ground, then gradually formed words. "You must be careful." A complete line of text appeared before Li Huowang's eyes. "You must be careful of Xian Su Xian." He looked at the words on the ground, his expression showing a hint of shock, and he asked himself, "Xian Su Xian? What is that?" A gentle breeze passed by. Second god suddenly lunged forward, grabbed Li Huowang by the neck, and lifted him high. From beneath the hooded cloth, a familiar voice spoke. "After testing for so long, turns out your Xian Su was just a fake. Since that's the case, don't blame me." Li Huowang swung his sword, slicing second god's hood into two pieces. He gently stepped back a few paces, and upon seeing second god's true face, he froze in shock, then spoke. "So this is the truth behind second god? There has only ever been one Li Ji?" Li Ji didn't answer, only let out a cold snort. Right after that, a long drumbeat echoed from within the forest. Li Huowang turned toward the source of the sound and thought to himself, "That drum. No, Li Ji must be nearby." At that moment, two voices rang out simultaneously, one from before him, and another from deep within the surrounding dark forest. Please the God. The sun sets beyond the western hills, darkness falls, every household shuts its doors. Magpies and crows fly to the big trees, sparrows and bluebirds return to their nests. Ah! Li Ji's summoning chant suddenly stopped, surprising second god, who looked up in shock. Standing before second god, Li Huowang curled his lips into a faint smile. He drove his sword into the ground, bent down to look at the disheveled second god on the ground, and spoke smugly. You came all the way here to test me, but wasn't I testing you as well? A moment earlier. Fortunately, senior brother Li told us to prepare early. Turns out the thief really was hiding nearby. Returning to the present, Li Huowang stood up, pulled his sword from the ground, and said, I've already been tricked once by the empty sect, a fall once, a lesson learned. When I encounter strange people or strange things, I always stay on guard. As soon as Li Huowang finished speaking, scattered footsteps echoed from within the forest. The group of Go Hua and the fool emerged. Go Hua called out hurriedly. Hurry up, don't keep senior brother waiting. Senior brother Li, we caught the person. Are you all right? What could possibly happen? Just like Chun Shaman said. This shaman's got no real tricks, all depends on his drum. Huowang stared intently at the drum lying on the ground, saying nothing, seemingly lost in thought. Li Ji, seeing this, was terrified, and stammered. No. Don't. Huowang thrust his sword downward, the drum's taut surface was easily pierced through,